Let's go. What's going on, ladies and gents? JV Wins and Dogon SS once again are here for another edition of the Conscious Approach podcast channel on YouTube. Thank you for joining, and thanks to everybody who's been joining the tribe. We certainly appreciate it. We got a lot of pretty decent feedback from our Andre 3000 story from last week, and that was actually a good topic. So, thanks to everybody who has joined along. Hit that subscribe button so that you can get that notification whenever new content is published to this channel. Thank you for supporting our brand of logical content. And if you have not already done so and you happen to catch wind of any of the content published to this channel, go ahead and do your boys a solid. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We are enjoying building our brand of community here. So we certainly appreciate you joining us along for the ride. Thank you very much. Now, of course, with those pleasantries out of the way, we'll get right into it. First up, we are going to talk about Jim Irsay. So, for anyone who doesn't know who this gentleman is, this guy is the owner of the Indianapolis Colts NFL franchise. His name is Jim Irsay. He's owned the team since the 2000s. I want to say like 2004 or five. And he was recently doing an interview with HBO Sports. And you know what has him going kind of viral is comments that he made stemming from his 2014 arrest for DUI. He seems to be under the belief that he was profiled for being a rich white billionaire. And he thinks that his status as a rich white billionaire is the reason why he was pulled over and eventually arrested for DUI. So these are obviously interesting comments, especially in this day and age. And it's going to get a lot of people talking because people are going to find it hard to believe that an individual can think that they are being profiled for being rich, number one, and white, number two. So we'll go ahead and provide a little context real quick so that you can hear this from the horse's mouth, albeit briefly. So this article says Colts owner Jim Irsay claims 2014 arrest was because he's a white billionaire. Speaking with HBO Sports, Colts owner Jim Irsay claimed that his 2014 arrest for driving under the influence was the result of prejudice. Quote, I am prejudiced against because I am a rich white billionaire. If I'm just the average guy down the block, they're not pulling me in. Of course not. I don't care what it sounds like. It's the truth. I could give a damn what people think, how anything sounds or sounds like. The truth is the truth. And I know the truth, Irsay said. Furthermore, Irsay claimed his inability to pass a sobriety test was due to a recent hip surgery, not intoxication. However, Irsay would later plead guilty to a misdemeanor charge. Irsay, who took over as owner of the Colts from his father in 1995, so mid-1990s, not 2000s, was arrested in an Indianapolis suburb in March 2014. A subsequent toxicology report found oxycodone, hydrocodone, and alprazolam, however you pronounce that, alprazolam in Irsay's system. While Irsay claimed that they were prescriptions for post-surgery recovery, he has also been open about his battles with addiction in the past. So we'll go ahead and play this sound. It's a brief snippet from that interview, and we'll let Irsay talk about how he thinks he was profiled in that instance because he was a rich white billionaire.
I am prejudiced against because I'm a rich white billionaire. If I'm just the average guy down the block, they're not pulling me in. Of course.
You know, you say they're prejudiced against a rich
I
white
don't care what it sounds like. It's the truth. I don't, Andre, I could give a damn what people think, how anything sounds or sounds like. The truth is the truth. And I know that.
Whoa.
All right, so yeah, he stumbled a little bit with his words there, kind of sounded like Joe. Yeah, it's did a little Joe Biden impression there for a second. But yeah, so there you go, man. This guy thinks that he was profiled for being a rich white billionaire. I thought that these were interesting comments, but what do you think about his belief that he was profiled for being a rich white billionaire?
I agree with him. So I think that you don't hear that about that kind of profiling, but I'm sure that that's a profile kind of thing. So yeah, it's possible. So when you think of celebrities and billionaire people or whatever, generally they can like get away with it. So I'm not too sure how he couldn't like weasel his way out of this. But the mere fact that they can make a case out of somebody, for instance, because they're a celebrity, because of their status, I can see that. Now I don't know if they said that, there goes Irsay. Let's put. I think it was just a private regular stop. But then once they got up on the stop, then it was like, oh, this is Irsay, and he's on some oxycodone. He looked like he was in oxycodone right there.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, bro. All that jigging he was doing, not looking up, and I was like, hey man, what's this guy on right now? But but yeah, I think that there could be a profiling up there. Who knows? But most of them, I think they can just get away with it. Last thing I'll say before you go, when we're dealing with America, the corporation of America, it's a very sophisticated board game, of Monopoly, if you will. And if you know how to play the game and you do the right things, well then you become one of these guys, one of the billionaires. So once you're one of the billionaires, I'm pretty sure there's levels of being a target, if you will, or what have you. But that's what I was saying, I would think that they were like above the law kind of a thing. But the mere fact that it was like, oh, there goes Irsay's car, he's swerving a bit, he was probably swerving because he was on that stuff. So I think that he can say that he got profiled, but I can agree with it. But at the same time, I feel as though it wasn't like racial profiling.
Right.
It's really because it was like, oh, this is a status person. I think status people catch a bad rap and when they get in public more than people would imagine. So I think this falls in that bucket. What about you, man? How do you feel about this situation with Irsay saying that he was profiled for being a white billionaire?
Yeah, I think the part that'll have him getting criticized by people for his comments is the white part. Because, how this, the way the world is now, if you are going to invoke the use of words like profiled and discriminated, those terms tend to nowadays be reserved for select groups of people. And if you are someone who is outside of those select groups of people, it's like you're disqualified from being able to use those words to describe a situation or circumstance that happened to you. So I think what's going to get people hot and bothered about what he had to say was that he used the word white. Because what people are going to instantaneously do is connect his whiteness with the idea of being profiled. And they are going to say, you're white, you can't be getting profiled because white people don't get profiled. I think that's what the general public is going to do. People who take issue with his comments and people who tend to, fall in line with social justice ideology. But I don't think that for him to say he was profiled, it would suggest that he believes that an injustice was done unto him, right? Because why would you use that word if you don't think that there was something done to you unjustly? And so the question therein becomes, okay, well, how do we define that? So the way that I look at this is the question becomes, has what is taking place in the social discourse and the media spilled over into actual practice by institutions such as law enforcement, for example? We've talked on this channel several times in the past, citing different examples of how there's an element taking place in the media in particular, in which it has become socially acceptable for you to say something that is in some way, shape, or form denigrating, in particular, heterosexual white men. Because the idea is heterosexual white men have long since been the establishment. They are a part of what is wrong with America. And so it is okay for us to take them down a peg and treat them however we feel like it because they're the establishment. And so that's justice being done. Let's take the establishment down. If you put a different person, if you put a female, if you put a black person, if you put a Latino person, if you put any other marginalized group in that position, an LGBTQ person, they're going to be protected from those same exact types of criticisms. But the minute that it becomes a white man first and then a white woman second, it's socially acceptable to sort of castigate them because intrinsically, collectively, we have decided that's the establishment, and so they can be taken down a peg in ways that if it were going on with a different type of person, we would perceive it to be unjust. But if we're talking about straight white guy, it's not unjust. It's comeuppance. It's well earned. It's deserved. And so I do believe that that's always been an element of the media. But the question is whether that is now an element in everyday real life, where it's like this stuff is actually happening in practice. And if you ask him, he'll say it is because he believes that he was profiled 100%. I don't know. I do know that when it comes to the mainstream media, this is something that is happening. So, and you've mentioned the coach, you've used the analogy of sports with coaches, or, like an announcer can't say that a black coach sucks because then that announcer may have to answer questions as to whether he is latently racist. But if it's a white coach who's performing his job just as badly, it's okay. No one's going to question whether there is any sort of agenda behind it. Mm-hmm. And I think that goes on in the mainstream media, not just with sports, but everywhere. If it's an actor that we're talking about, if it's another rich person who we're talking about, if it's some benefactor, if it's somebody who's being looked at, scrutinized in some kind of way, if it's a white guy, it's like, hey man, they're white, so have at it. It's open season. And if it's one who's not white, it's like, oh well, is this racist in any kind of way? Are there racial undertones as a result of this criticism? These questions sort of come up, and to me, it presents the idea that there is a possible double standard taking place. Now, is one right or wrong? I don't know. I'm just kind of observing what's taking place. I kind of feel like everything's fair game. If you're shitty at what you're doing, or if what you're doing is shitty, it deserves to be scrutinized, no matter what your background is or where you come from. But I do think that there is a large element in the media in particular that has accepted that scrutiny, even if it's unjust or unfair, is more acceptable depending on the profile of the individual being scrutinized. And if that profile happens to be white male heterosexual in particular, it's more okay than not. And second behind that guy is white female heterosexual, then it's more okay than not. And the question is whether that spilled over into the streets. I don't know, but if you ask Irsay, he's saying that it spilled over into the streets.
That's a possibility. I looked at it more like in the sense of the police were, because it might be a thing where, for instance, Boosie always complains about, I think, driving in Louisiana or something, or was it in Georgia? I'm not too sure. It was just like a certain town or something where every time he's in there, he's getting pulled over. So I don't know if it was a thing where he was in his home state, home area, whatever, and they know his car, and he felt as though, they were constantly, dealing with him because they know it's his vehicle. And probably the one day they caught him slipping was the day they hit him on charges. So at that point, he probably could be talking about that, especially if he's not in some inner circle or connection, because this is a whole different game he's playing. So this isn't like regular, people stuff. So everybody knows who he is. He's got money for power and all these other things. I mean, he's running a whole sports organization. So I'm not too sure where he was at in his life or whatever for him to be feeling that way, but I'm pretty sure he felt targeted. And I don't know, it's because he was a white billionaire. He was just targeted because whatever, I probably think. But I don't think they just go around pulling around white billionaires. That's not how the game go.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either.
No, so I think this was some local Ozarks kind of whatever thing where they were probably dealing with him a little too much for his liking, or he just felt like they were following him or whatever. Just leave me alone. Why is it? Because I'm me, and whatever. Because he comes off as quite eccentric. So I don't know how he does with interpersonal stuff, but yeah, I think that was more or less in town, in city politics. But I still feel as though people across all spectrums could get profiled for various reasons. And so whether we like it or not, there's some truths and some stereotypes, and there's just truths and normal generalities. And as sucky as it may sound, they've algorithmically tried to figure out ways to profile each race. I get lumped in there too. I don't think it's okay, but I just know that they go black man, dark car, dark windows. What's he up to? That's I'm already feeling that way. But versus when I was driving in a Prius, you know what I'm saying? I'm driving in a Prius, still dark windows, but it was a white Prius, or it was a gray Prius, and I just felt different in there. For all they know, I was sipping a latte, eating root grass or something, at some hipster area. They don't know who's in there. I'm not gonna pop out. So it's just like, all right, just let that go. But hey, Chevy, all black, they gonna do that because they feel like there's a cookie under that rock. So that they do that. I'm not saying that's okay, but I think every group has their own. I think we got a lot, but I think every group has their own kind of thing. So for his billionaire group, they knew who he was. They probably knew he was on that stuff because he just looks like a druggie, And so they probably just wanted some extortion. I don't know what they was into. But yeah, but I think everybody can get profiled for various reasons. But I don't think that his whole situation here was because he was a white billionaire. That's a bit of a stretch because they're not doing that. So I think they just had it out for him.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing that either. But you know how it is when he uses the word profile collectively with his whiteness, it's going to trigger people because then it's going to start this dialogue about the merit of his comments with respect to the very concept of what qualifies one to be profiled. And no one thinks of it the way that you well, not no one, but I would say most people don't think of it in terms of the way that you explained it, which is true. It happens to different groups in various capacities, but I think most people nowadays think of the word profile and they instantly go to race. And what will add fuel to the fire in terms of this particular story is the fact that he himself invocated his whiteness. He said white. If he had just left it at billionaire, people might still want to scrutinize his comments, but when you bring in the fact that you're white, you're opening up a can of worms now, because now you're going to have people who are seizing upon the idea that you believe that it's possible to be profiled despite the fact that you're rich and white. And I think that you still can be, but I think the majority of the world looks at that as nonsense. Especially nowadays, they look at that as a nonsensical point of view. They think that it is impossible to be profiled in any capacity if you were white, let alone rich and white. So that's kind of where the conversation becomes confusing. But I'm not surprised that he's the one that made this thing, that made these confusing comments or said these confusing comments, because he is an eccentric dude. He really is. He is kind of out there in no man's land in terms of some of the stuff that he says sometimes. And the way he runs his organization too, if you want to look at that.
Exactly.
But I think that they were interesting comments nevertheless, because if you have any kind of awareness about the times that you are living in, you have to know how saying white and profile is going to be received by the majority of the world, even other white people who are social justice warriors. So I don't know if it, like I said, I wasn't there. So right or wrong, fair or unfair, or however you want to sort of tag the merit of his comments, I agree with you. There's profiling going on everywhere. So they could have just been targeting him because sometimes these rich people do kind of get hemmed up by people who just have it out for him for whatever reason. Whether it has anything to do with his whiteness is another story, and I think that's where
Right.
it gets a
I don't
little,
know.
and that's
That's
where I
yeah.
think it gets. That's where I think it gets a little murky.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, shouts out to Jim Irsay. At least he
Funny
knows
dude.
how to hire good coaches who know how to run organizations and good front office people because the Colts just stay winning games even though on paper it looks like they shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you credit for that, man. But these comments were a little wacky, bro.
funny cat, man.
Yeah, he is.
Sheesh.
Okay, we got friend of the channel, Brittany Renner, and a newcomer to the channel, Alexis Skyy. Not Alexis Skyy. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Alexis Skyy. She has an opinion on Brittany Renner, so we don't need to get into the history of Brittany Renner. If you look at videos on this channel, you know who she is. She has tried to curate a lane for herself as now a social media personality slash reality star. She's like, Amber Rose 2.0 in terms of trying to reinvent how we perceive things like sexual freedom. And she wrote a book detailing all of the men in the entertainment industry that she slept with. And she boldly publicly talks about her body count, which publicly sits at 35, even though Dogon projects that it's actually higher than that. And I wouldn't completely disagree. But Brittany, Alexis Skyy has some thoughts on Brittany Renner, who thinks that Brittany should kind of keep her whoredom a little more quiet and not be so loud with it. So, to provide a little context, we'll go ahead and talk about this article real quick. It says Brittany Renner's body count confession doesn't have Alexis Sky's approval. Quote, be a quiet whore. Uh, Not only does Brittany Renner know how to get the conversation around her going, but the mother of one also tends to engage in antics that have people talking about her long after headlines begin to come out. She's grown substantially over the past few years and certainly doesn't share her body as freely as before, allegedly. Uh, However, Renner did reveal how many people she slept with in her life a few months ago, sparking a huge debate across social media. Some were quick to shame her for the 35 notches on her bedpost, while others couldn't care less about what other people do behind closed doors. For the most part, Renner doesn't seem ashamed of her past, though she does regret so many of them being one night stands. Quote, I still have to wear those. You know what I mean? She reflected during her infamous interview on the fan bus, which looks a lot like the bang bus.
Boy.
Um, For the most part, the entertainment industry has moved on from the gossip, though Alexis Skyy spoke on the situation in a recent interview, seemingly shaming the model for speaking on her promiscuous pursuits. So here is what Alexis Skyy had to say about Brittany Renner's very public announcement of the 35 body count.
I seen Brittany Renner, right? And she was talking about 35 bodies.
I'm
right,
sure
baby?
people got past 35.
That's what I'm thinking.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just be real. That's not nobody's business.
But she might be empowered. This
But that's disgusting. And that's like very
35 bodies is
untasteful.
disgusting or
No, I didn't say the 35 bodies.
saying it.
Because half of the world probably has more than 35 bodies. Let's be real.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
We ain't
just
gonna
saying.
sit here and act like, you know what I'm saying? We're not gonna knock her for like she just a whore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Which,
But she might be a whore too. But who
yeah,
cares?
I mean,
I'm
she
just
could
saying.
be she can be a whore, but I'm
I was a
saying
whore too. I'm just, hey,
listen, I don't judge nobody. I'm not
just saying.
judging her. I'm just saying that she can be just be a quiet whore. Just be quiet. There's no need.
Yeah.
Undercover freak.
But why are you telling the world? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's nasty to me.
It was acts. It's fun.
Even if you had 100, even if you had 100 bodies, that's not nobody's business. And I don't think that's even cute or tasteful for a man to even hear. What you do is what you do. Because, like I said, there's people that probably have more bodies than her. So we can't. Who are we to judge Brittany? I don't know her. I just don't care for the things that come out her mouth as a woman.
Wow.
So Alexis doesn't care for the things that come out of her mouth as a woman. No need to read the rest of the article. You pretty much get the point there. So interesting comments coming out of Miss Skyy there about Brittany Renner, albeit not all that unique, I would say. But what do you think about what she had to say about Brittany Renner being so boastful when it comes to speaking on her body count?
Well, first of all, I don't think anybody believes it. So even I'm pretty sure her biggest fans, they're not going for 35. I saw a clip where Boosie, it was asking Boosie about it or whatever, and he was like, but you just said you had sex with 3 guys in one night, and then then you're gonna turn around and tell me 35, and then he said I had to start multiplying. So who knows what that number really is, but it's not 35. And so, but the whole notion of her being too vocal, sharing her body count, whether it's truthful or not, this is the signs of the times.
Yeah.
I am very sorry. This is not going to stop. And listen, y'all. Yeah, listen. We are witnessing the decline of humanity, man. This is how it looks. This is how it looks. This is how it sounds. One woman over here, calling, and one may say her lifestyle's a bit questionable, and I honestly felt like she was talking to her peer to peer, whore to whore. Yeah, I'm out here doing my thing. I'm living my life, she says, but I'm not going to tell the world how many people I did or didn't have sex with.
Right. She wasn't even focusing on the body count. She was focusing on the public talking of the body count.
Right. And
Yeah.
so the whole thing is like, okay, so I respect that she's like old school gangster, she got old school principles. She's still following the code. But now these new youngsters with the social media and all this other, just banging online, literally and figuratively. All right. Now we got this thing here where Brittany Renner is part of the new wave, and it's telling all of your business, monetizing your business. And so she's doing that, and that's not going anywhere. After we got, air quote reality TV that some people still either believe in, to some extent. I know they know it's, put on, but people still believe in that stuff. And so with the new age of reality TV, now comes the reality vlogging of one's life and monetizing, direct to consumering that more or less. So she's looking at this as a money opportunity. She's going to give a body count. She's going to underserve us on the number. That's like one of those psychological tricks, where everybody knows it ain't true, but the number is so low that you subconsciously low key respect that, even though she set the bar so low that whenever anybody gets to thinking about it, they're not going to start at 70 something. They're going to go 50. They own personal count went down. So she pulled a psychological dipsy do. You thought the bunny was in the hat. No, it's over here. So she pulled one of those numbers, and that's all her public persona. So, I'm pretty sure there's women out there taking notes on how to play the algorithm, because she's damn sure done figured it out, man. So I'm sorry, Miss Alexis Skyy, if that's your real name. All right. Sounds like a adult performer's name,
It does.
So
Yeah.
given the trend, her last name might be Chavez. But nevertheless, man, what's your thoughts on this predicament here, man? The pot calling the kettle black here. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, like you, I don't even want to use the word respect. I almost want to find a different word. But I accept, maybe that's a better word. Like, I accept the fact that she has a bit of an old school mentality when it comes to keeping your business under wraps, especially when it comes to like, your sexual history. And, her wanting to chastise women like Brittany Renner for doing it publicly, given the fact that that's her mentality, is understandable. However, it falls completely onto deaf ears because, like, Alexis Skyy will say, "Hey, Brittany Renner, don't be so loud as a whore. Be a quiet whore." What Brittany Renner is going to say in response is, "What is a whore?" And that's the crux of the whole situation here is people like Brittany Renner, and this is going on in other areas too that we've talked about. People like Brittany Renner, this is going on with gender too. Same conversation is happening in other arenas such as gender. People like Brittany Renner want to deconstruct what the word whore even means, almost to make it obsolete. Like it's just like the notion of it is completely antiquated. It ought not to exist. There's actually no such thing as being a whore. That's what that's the type of social anarchy that people like Brittany Renner are looking for.
Mhm.
So when Brittany Renner is talking about her 35 body count, she's talking about it publicly because she envisions a world in which a 35 body count is viewed and perceived exactly the same as a 5 body count or a 7 body count or a 1 body count, which is to say that there's actually no such thing as too many bodies. Being a whore is a concept that to people like Brittany Renner does not exist. And so that fundamental disconnect between the rhetoric inherent in a person like Alexis Skyy and a person like Brittany Renner is what causes the disagreement. They fundamentally see the world differently. I see the world more like Alexis Skyy than Brittany Renner, of course, obviously. Not that I see the world eye to eye with Alexis Skyy either. But when push comes to shove, I don't think that it is a badge of honor to talk about how you have 35 bodies. I don't give a damn. Whether you're a man or a woman, it's not cool. But that's the thing. They want to make it cool. Just like they want to make it cool for you to, you know, I won't use the word cool. And I don't want to get too controversial here. But just like they want to make it trendy, quite frankly, to decide whatever gender you want to be, even though you were assigned a sex at birth. They kind of want to make that a casual decision that you can just make. What gender do I want to be? Well, what these social anarchists also want to do is recreate a world in which the notion of whore or being a whore doesn't exist. What is whore? Get that out of your mind. We are going to plug you into the matrix and we're going to sort of delete that part of the file out of your brain so that when we unplug you, you don't even know that there's a such thing as a whore. It doesn't exist. That's what people like Brittany Renner want to do. So you can say all of this stuff all you want to, but there's a fundamental disconnect there. Brittany Renner does not see a world in which being a whore is something that actually exists. It doesn't exist. They're rewriting fundamentally the definition of some of these terms, and they want to recreate a world in which we don't look at it that way. So you can have your 35 bodies, and then additionally, it's also it's also kind of vogue. It's no longer a faux pas to write books on it, exposing people, putting people on blast publicly. These are the social signs of the times. And so, yeah, I agree with you. It's not going to stop. It'll just continue to persist. Obviously, it's not going nowhere.
No.
And the legions of people, but women in particular, who are using Brittany Renner as a model, dangerously in some cases as a role model in terms of, I can rack up as many bodies as I want to too, because I'm not a whore. Why am I not a whore? Because there actually is no such thing as a whore. That's the thing about it, is it doesn't exist. Being a whore doesn't exist. It doesn't. Just like some people would want to argue that sexual preference isn't a thing that exists. It's fluid. It doesn't exist. Like we just want to make everything open season. That's what it is. We are in the era of open season, obviously. And yeah, I think as well it speaks to the degradation of humanity. But what are you gonna do? It is what it is. So I see where she's coming from, old school mentality. But I guess sadly for her, old school mentality is dying, and it's dying a quick death, not even a slow death. It's dying a quick death because Brittany Renner and acolytes like her who are just going to replicate her mindset and behavior, they're all coming out of the woodwork. All you gotta do is just spend a day on Instagram. They're everywhere,
Disgusting.
and they're asking you to subscribe to their OnlyFans pages, because what is a sex worker? It's just a job. Sex working is another thing, right? Like these are all things that we are trying to socially deconstruct the way that we have historically thought about them. And so, in lieu of this deconstruction, this very aggressive deconstruction, this is what you get in the aftermath is opposing ideologies and viewpoints. And I do think that the old school way is dying by the dust very fast. And pretty soon we are going to have a population full of Brittany Renners running all over the place. And there's going to be no such thing as promiscuity, being a whore, being a hoe, whatever. None of these things are going to exist. Whether you're male or female, it's just going to be open season. And by then, I hope that they have found a cure to every STD in the book. Because if not, it's going to be crazy out here. That's all I can say.
Nah, man, they're gonna come out with new ones, bro. So right now, bro, it's no different than free love 70s right now, low key, man.
It's worse. I
Yeah,
think it's worse.
Yeah, it's all kinds of jive going on nowadays. So man, that threw me off. But yeah, man. Yeah, I see your point now where you were talking about this before about normalizing this stuff, like looking at it like another job. It's like, okay, well, it's not another job. It's like, okay, but people aren't throwing stones at her either. I'm not saying throw stones at her either. But I'm just saying,
Right.
like, people aren't condemning her for selling her body online. So if some woman that pulls up looking like this, all BBL'd out, and she says, "Oh, I have an OnlyFans," people aren't going to be shocked or surprised, mad, or nothing. But this brings me to my entire point of where we're at in humanity right now. If you grab, your favorite biblical person that was in those times, where it was just sheeps and lambs and, your rod and your staff, and you're just out there and farming it up and stuff. Your biggest thing is trying not to covet somebody's wife. Everything else, you're just chilling and stuff. There was zero, even though it was temptation, though. It ain't nothing like this. You grab that character, you drop them into this. And he's gonna say, "What's this?" Oh, hey, bro, watch out now. Hey, bro, lose his mind. He'll be dehydrated in a ditch somewhere in a matter of a week. What I'm getting at is, along with the decline in humanity, it takes a strong person right now to be living and to be not falling into these things that these people are doing. What people are doing right now is there's so much temptation. There's so much at your fingertips. Literally, figuratively, you can walk out the door into some jibber jab. Everything's going on right now. And there's temptation all over the place. And the people with willpower, a goal, determination, another eye that can see beyond the trash, think for yourself. You're setting yourself apart. And there's a lot of people getting caught up in waves of temptation. And so these ladies here, for whatever, drives them, wakes them up in the morning to just turn around and shake her ass for more likes and money, whatever that thing is that makes her go, she can't resist the urge to not do it. And then so people go around and start making these people celebrities. So when we're sitting here calling this stuff out, man, I'm just trying to get to you that there's a lot of people that fall into these buckets and they get trapped up in it. I've seen her behind now. I'm talking about Brittany Renner. I done seen that. Now I see why people be going crazy. I get it. But here's the thing, man. You can't be buying this stuff out here. And so the reason why whores are at an all-time high is because dudes are lusting at an all-time high. And we gotta learn how to bring it in and then ignore the garbage. This is just noise to me. I can't stand it, you know. But this is the reality, and I'm just saying it's only going to get worse. You know, you're only going to see more and more, because there's going to be children of Brittany Renner. Lord mercy, what that's going to look like. So brace yourself and just understand that that's going to happen, and just know that you and yours is not going to be a part of this wave where all of these people getting caught up in all of this mess. So, hey man, these whores can fight it out. You know, they can duke it out. You know,
bro. Yeah, I hear you 100%. It's a progressive evolution of the mentality. Like, yeah, dudes are lusting at an all-time high, but it's more pervasive than that, because I mean, there was always an understanding. Like when I was coming up, right? There was an understanding. You pay for this, you pay for that, do your thing, have your fun, but leave her where she is. But I think what we're seeing is like, you know, and the internet has created this. The more you see something, obviously, and you know, this isn't groundbreaking. This is a psychological fact. The more that you are exposed to a particular type of stimuli, the more that you see something, the more normal it becomes to you. And the more normal it is to you, the more desensitized to the idea that there is something inherently not okay with it. Because if it's around you so much and it's so prevalent, why would there be anything wrong? If there was a problem, it wouldn't be so prevalent. So you see these guys dating porn stars, dating strippers, you know, dating chicks who do OnlyFans. Obviously, the more you see that, the more readily available that idea becomes to you, because you can just, you know, go to your Instagram or your TikTok and see that your favorite athlete or your favorite music star, or even, you know, the guy in your city who got a lot of money is riding around in the streets with a chick that, you know, does adult films and stuff like that. Like, it's just become less of a stigma and more socially acceptable for the lusting to be a thing that we don't kind of let fall by the wayside. Like, it wasn't such a huge thing when we were coming up, to see it, you know, being made cool to like actually openly, publicly date a stripper, to marry a stripper.
yeah, like what's
and
that?
and that right, and that's not to, I'm not trying to necessarily denigrate all strippers, but it is what it is for the most part. Unless you were also in the sex industry, if you were a regular guy running around out here, the
Right.
notion of dating a stripper, marrying a stripper, having kids with a stripper was silly. It was like, okay, I might pay for that, have a little fun. Maybe we had a bachelor party. Maybe I paid for some a little extra. We went into the VIP room, popped off, whatever. But you left it there. That was it. And now what you got going on is these dudes taking these chicks out for dates.
You get Joe Smith.
Yeah. They taking them out on dates. They're marrying them. They are starting families with them. And so obviously, the more you see that, the more desensitized to the idea that there is something inherently not okay with that you become. And so that's where the evolution of the mindset really starts to stick in. And where it empowers individuals like Brittany Renner to continue to do what they're doing. Because I've always said, people like her are incentivized to keep doing what she's doing, because she knows at the end of the day, she's going to get what she wants. She knows that it does not matter how many guys she puts on blast, how high her body count is, how many books she writes, how many social media rants she goes on. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, she is still, at least from a profile standpoint, going to pull the kind of guy that she wants, because these guys don't know any better and they can't help themselves. So when you know that you can act the donkey as much as you want, but you will still get what you want, what incentive is there for you to stop? And in lieu of doing so, we create a society in which we deconstruct everything that we came to know about concepts as it relates to things like being a hoe. There is no such thing anymore. You might as well just get that out of your mind. There is no such thing. It does not exist. And you know, people like Brittany Renner they'll come back on you all day. The rest of these vagina rappers, ain't no such thing as being a hoe to them. It doesn't exist. What is a hoe? If I'm a hoe, you a hoe. And if you ain't a hoe, then I ain't a hoe. And so ain't nobody a hoe. Being a hoe doesn't exist.
That's the
So
logic.
yeah, and so I'm at the point where I've resigned, and this is the last thing I'll say. I have resigned to the hope that at the point in history in which this truly becomes the mainstay that it inevitably will become, I just hope that they find the cure to all the STDs. As crazy and that's exactly as crazy and as unlikely as that sounds, that is where I am with this, because it don't look up the rates of some of these diseases on your own time, especially depending on what city you live in. They're through the roof. And so if you think that everything is okay with this free sex, no consequences world that we are creating out here, I would advise you, sir, ma'am, to rethink that, because it ain't sweet. It ain't sweet. So unless you want to wrap it up into perpetuity for the rest of your life, if you are accepting of this mentality, you better hope that they come up with something that is the magic cure-all for everything out here in these streets. Because if not, it's gonna be like what's that movie, Contagion, except it ain't gonna be the flu. It's gonna be something going on between your legs.
Hey, well, hopefully they don't come out with nothing like that. So hopefully it's still the standard, the status quo. But hopefully then nothing evolves and grows. But yeah, I agree with you, man. So, but this is it's everywhere, dude. You can't open an app nowhere and not see stuff that's not appropriate. And so the age that these kids are getting exposed to inappropriate content, and it don't even have to be pornography. It could just be regular inappropriate adult behavior that they're just watching and consuming on repeat. And so they're going to grow up with that. And the advanced version of ADD, because our generation had it, they're going to have like HDHD2X or Q. It's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
So, hey, dude, I wish, but we're already there. So, all of that stuff that you were, warning of, or, saying that they're going to head there. Yeah, bro, we're there. We're already here where, everybody assumes everybody's a hoe and everybody's going to cheat and they going to do them. And, we will do rosters, all that, bro. This is it. Yeah, we're here, bro. And that's what I'm saying. This is how it looks. This is just the beginning stages, y'all. So there's going to be a time, believe it or not, we're going to look back at 2023 and be like, damn, it wasn't that crazy yet. And it's like, okay, because bro, I be looking at pictures of 2015 and man, that was sweet. 2015 was not sweet, but compared to this. So, hey, man, have at it, y'all. Just stay diligent. Think for yourselves. Don't follow the herd, man. That's all I got. And be blessed. Good luck. Wild times, dog.
Nothing left to say. nothing left to say.
Damn.
We got another Dee-1 topic here. This is, I think, the third week in a row in which we have referenced Dee-1.
Whoa.
But Dee-1 used recently a Benny the Butcher interview to make another point about what he feels about the state of hip hop and hip hop's content. So Benny the Butcher, now to be honest about this discussion, Dee-1 is not going at Benny the Butcher. He is going at an interview that Benny the Butcher participated in. And he is using this interview to highlight some of the things that he views as problematic when it comes to the content of hip hop music. In recent history, Benny the Butcher has had words over the internet with Rick Ross, with Meek Mill, with Jim Jones, because he feels like they are being hypocrites. Because when they are in public, they talk about the good things that they are doing to promote positivity, but then they will get into their music and they talking about dope, and drugs and jail and all of that good stuff and violence. And D1's like, what's the deal, bro? Like, are you about positivity or not? Because you get into your music and you still on that ignorant stuff. I happen to agree with D1. I think Dogon also agrees with D1 when it comes to that. We do not have time for hypocrites who are publicly hypocritical on the Conscious Approach channel. But the latest example of this for D1 is an interview with Benny the Butcher. So we'll go ahead and play this clip here real quick. So this says Benny the Butcher replies to D1's Coke rappers criticism. So D1 has found himself dealing with some self-imposed beef with a variety of other rappers he's called out recently. He took jabs at Jim Jones, Meek Mill, and Rick Ross for the violent content of their lyrics and the impact it has on listeners. Meek was the first to reply, taking a pretty dismissive approach to the situation, but Jim Jones hit back with an even more robust response, which concluded with what some interpreted as a threat of violence. In another new video he shared, D1 took issue with the label of Coke rappers. For the video, he used a clip of Benny the Butcher being asked during an interview to list off his top 5 favorite Coke rappers. Quote, "I knew this N-word was coming from me," end quote, Benny captioned a tweet of the original video. But D quickly replied, clarifying that his issue wasn't actually with Benny. Instead, he claims he was calling out the question that Benny was asked as being part of the problem. "Yo, that wasn't about you, brother. It was about the question homie chose to ask you." His response reads, check out the full interactions between the pair below. So this is the basically a snippet of both cut together in question. So I'm a first
top 3.
Let me go ahead and so this isn't very long. It'll just give you a little context here of the interview in question, and then it will also show a brief response to a brief clip of D1's response. If you want to see D1's full diatribe, you can look up the full video on TikTok. That's where he posts his stuff. Oh, come on, you can do it.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, damn, getting buffered. Make it smaller again.
All right, we'll go ahead and refresh.
And man, these guys, bro. I mean, I'll say
top 3 Coke rappers. Benny the Butcher. Who you got? Top 3 Coke rappers. Benny the Butcher. Who you got? No, let's do top 5.
Who are your top 5 Coke of all time, right? See, that's the problem with our culture.
Okay, so D1 had a problem with the fact that Benny the Butcher was asked, who are the top 5 cocaine rappers of all time? Now, this is, of course, on brand with D1. And, yeah, I mean, curious as to how that would be a question that is asked. But if you know anything about Benny the Butcher as an artist, that's not a stretch.
Right.
So you also have to take into account who Benny the Butcher is and the type of music that he makes. But what did you think about D1's contention with that particular question?
Well, of course, I agree with him. That I feel as though that's a ridiculous question. I don't know. He could have asked that question without so much enthusiasm. I'm trying to figure out why he was so excited for the answer. And while that was playing, I'm sitting there, I was shaking my head because of the level of enthusiasm that he had. It was beyond him doing his radio job. And it's just like, bro, like, why would that? The mere fact that that's even a question concerns me about where people are at. And there's people that's like, all is like, oh snap, he about to name his top 5 Coke rappers. I would like to be bigger fans of what he's doing. Him and the whole Griselda thing. I would love to be fans of that because I think Conway is just, He's
Yeah,
crazy.
but Conway rap about that ignorant stuff though.
But he talks about ignorant stuff. And
Yeah.
I just want them to just rap, but they gotta do they coke bars, murder bars, gun bars, you know. And so it's hard to listen to it. I can't listen to it even though I know it's gonna go hard. But with all of that said, that's his lane. That's like asking Jeezy, who's your, whoop de whoop, he's your best trap rappers, or you gotta put blah blah, he's gonna go down a list. So it's pretty much the same thing. But the crazy part about it is, why is that question even being asked? And this alludes to whatever Dee-1's coming from in the aspect of this is so embedded in our culture that it's being done on a casual radio station, just like, hey, what's your best mind control music, sir? Which one you like most that gets people incarcerated? I can't wait to hear this. Oh yeah, number one. He's gonna sit there and name all the top mind controllers. So I just think people just need to view life more through a they live lens and not live in commercial land where everything's a product, as you always say about hip hop, and just consume the latest dope tale. And it's just like, man, who's spinning the best web of concentrated lies over a boom bap beat? So I don't care for it. So but yeah, I would like to be bigger fans of them because I think they are good at what they do. I just don't care for the topics. But yeah, man, I agree with Dee-1. So what's your thoughts on this, man? How do you feel about this entire situation here?
Yeah, like if someone were to, like, let's say you turned on to a news show, or you were watching an interview, somebody famous was being interviewed, and the interviewer was like, name your top 3. Oh, hold up, let's just make it top 5. Name your top 5 favorite serial killers.
No, yeah.
You'd be like, huh? Like, you'd be like, why is that even a question? Like, why are we up here on this? Why are we up here on this credible platform glorifying serial killers? But for whatever reason, we don't look at the music stuff the same. We look at it as different. Like, it's somehow more like acceptable, I guess. Like, you would scoff at the notion of being asked, well, who are your top 5 favorite serial killers? Because even if you were demented enough to have a top 5 favorite serial killers, you would never publicly list out your top 5 favorite serial killers because you're asking for trouble. Something's wrong with this guy. He ain't all there. Can we do a welfare check on this person? Why does he have a top 5 list of his favorite serial killers? Like, that's weird. But when it comes to this music, you can have your list of favorite cocaine rappers, and it's cool because the content of the music is synonymous with this stuff. Unfortunately, the only thing that I can say about Benny, because I'm with Dee-1, question everything. That's why I like Dee-1, because he questions this stuff and he's not afraid to do so. He's not afraid to combat the infectious disease that is groupthink mentality when it comes to hip hop culture at large. And I commend him for that. Don't be someone who is afraid to combat that very infectious disease, because there's too much groupthink going on in that industry. And so I commend him for that. And I agree with him 1000%. But what I will say with Benny the Butcher is, like, I heard Benny the Butcher on a lot of songs, and I can count on one hand the amount of songs that I heard him on in which he was not talking about or shit. Like, that's what I hear every single time he raps. So he's being on brand. And I kind of feel like in this regard, he's an innocent bystander. Not that Dee-1 is going at him, because he clarified that he is not going at him. But when it comes to Benny the Butcher, I can at least say that at least Benny the Butcher is not Meek Mill, and he is not a vocal hypocrite. Because I don't see Benny the Butcher going on talk shows and interviews talking about how the music industry is paying for ignorance, how the music industry profits off of excuse me, how the music industry profits off of ignorance, how
Mhm.
he is trying to legislate prison reform, how he is trying to clean up the streets and remove some of the laws that inordinately target disenfranchised people and puts them in prison. But then he gets into the booth and he's making songs that perpetuate those very same things. Meek Mill is doing that. And so I can't stand Meek Mill because he is a very vocal hypocrite. At least Benny the Butcher is not a vocal hypocrite. Now, he might be a silent one because maybe in his downtime, Benny the Butcher donates money here or has this charitable organization there and so on and so forth. But publicly, to my knowledge, Benny the Butcher is not a vocal hypocrite. And so I can let Benny the Butcher slide because he isn't loud with how he is trying to promote positivity, despite the fact that he gets on these rap songs and raps about anything but. So that's the only area in which I will slide on him. But otherwise, I haven't heard a single song with Benny the Butcher where he is not doing these very same things. So it's not a stretch for somebody to sit him down in an interview and ask him who his top 5 favorite coke rappers are. Because if you are to believe his rhymes to be true, he probably has a pretty ample list. Uh, the question is, why is this a thing that is being asked? And I really do think we need to start looking at a question like that the same way that we would look at a question as to whether you have your top 5 list of favorite serial killers. If we won't allow that question, why do we have to sit here and allow the question of top 5 favorite coke rappers? I don't get it, but I also simultaneously do get it because that's the culture. And until we break down why that is the culture, that type of interview will continue to be a normal thing.
Yeah, yeah, and the same thing goes with yeah, what was I gonna say? Um, damn, lost my train of thought. But yeah, the whole notion here where Dee-1 is calling these people out. I'm behind this because he's pretty much a quiet dude. You know, the most that he did was just make his own music. You know, blog about it. You know, and only pretty much his fans just knew about it, type of thing. But he's making waves, and his name's big enough to make waves. And so he's been making waves lately, and I'm encouraging more of that, you know, and because we just need these things to be part of the discussion because
Yeah.
they weren't before. So I appreciate him just doing this, and I would like him to continue because people want to keep hearing it because I think a lot of people are tired of this.
I think so too. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's kind of like with everything right now in entertainment. The movies suck, the TV shows suck. I mean, at least the NBA sucks. You know, the NFL is starting to suck low key until some quarterbacks get in there. You know, but you know, the quality of a lot of things are declining, and people are just upset. And so I think a lot of the reasons that people are resonating with what Dee-1 saying is because he's speaking for a lot of people who's just had enough.
Yeah.
And so yeah, having those discussions on air is part of course, man. It's what's going on. And you know, eventually there's going to be conversation of, you know, who's your best whore, you know, because people are, you know, dudes already got their top 5 lists of adult actresses. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about who's your favorite, you know, OnlyFans whore. You know, who's your top 5? Oh, all right, now see, peep this now. Yeah, and bro, I'm super excited. And so, hey man, that's what I'm saying. This is going along with the decline of the surroundings. My best thing is, as what I'm trying to get at is just make sure you're not a part of some surroundings, you know, where you see yourself getting caught up in waves of, hey, you know, I can sit there and point at theirs because I ain't in there, you know, but which one am I in? And, you know, so the best thing, man, is just, you know, sit this stuff down and just look at the theater that's going on around you. Cause that's how I'm looking at this stuff. And right now I see that what we've been typecasted, all this gangster rap and drug stuff, you know, I'm tired of this show. I don't want to see this anymore. And so whenever I see the DJ, you know, really in character, like he's really, I want to know top 3. Nah, man, top 5. What? But yeah, I already noticed that was already a thing, that people just went away from any kind of rap. It was just strictly cocaine bars. It was a whole, I mean, the whole, 2000s, 2010s. I mean, it was just nuts. Everybody was doing it. So yeah, it's a genre, and I guess there's people psyched about it. They got cocaine playlists, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I ain't gonna lie, bro. I like wrist music. All right. So whenever I was going crazy, I like songs specifically talked about cooking and whipping. And for whatever reason, I would just lose my mind about the concept of whipping, but not actual drugs. I just like the hand in a pop motion. And so I'm just whoop, and just going crazy. So that was my thing, I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, man, people get caught up in that wave, but it was just a thing of I would hear it. So I got too much going on in my head, about what's going on in the world. So that's why I couldn't enjoy it. You have to know what's going on around you for real. You have to know what's happening, and then that stuff will become classless, just not a good taste and all this other stuff. But
Yeah.
when you're in it, man, that MSG tastes delicious. The beat go hard, that bar go hard. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, he getting it in on the boat. Oh my, he's talking to Poppy, and oh man, you going crazy. So yeah, man, but you got to know your surroundings. The more you know your surroundings, the more that stuff don't make sense to you. So, but we just got a lot of people right now that are, still buying the hype, unfortunately. So,
Yeah, I get the impression that there's more people than you would think who are tired of it. I feel that way. But I think that discourse is just now getting its place at the table. And so, it's just going to take it, continuing to get its place at the table, getting talked about more. And I think, the more people get to talking about this, and the more that platform, the more that form of discourse is accorded its own platform, and it's a platform that is big enough to garner a larger enough audience, it'll get the conversation going more and more. Something's got to give. Like, you can't continue to do that. Well, you can if allowed to. But at a certain point, the buck has to stop. You can't have these guys running around out here, who publicly want to talk about how they're helping their people and being positive, but then they make content that's the opposite of that. The hypocrisy has got to start getting called out. And I grew up listening to this as well. But but as you get older and you become enlightened and you understand how the world is, I would hope that certain things don't hit the same way that it used to. So that's just a natural part of life. But at a certain point, the buck has to stop. So I like Dee-1 talking about it too, because it deserves to be said, because it's true, number one. And number two, these hypocrites just got to be called to the carpet for who they are. So, not that Benny the Butcher is one, but people like Meek Mill most certainly are. And a lot of these other rappers who do that are hypocrites as well. And we have got to rewire our brain to disassociate your culture intrinsically from this music, because this music is just a product to be consumed. It's entertainment. You should look at it the same way you look at watching a TV show or a movie. It's not real. It's just something that you're going to the store and buying. So people need to get hip to that, seriously. Yeah. Okay, and now for this, man. This is weird stuff. Talk about the future, man. This scared the crap out of me. I read this. When you sent this to me, it freaked me out. So, you know what? I'll just go ahead and share this, man. So we've talked about AI on this channel before, particularly when it comes to the notion. I'll speak for myself. I have talked about the obsolescence of humans and how we are actively contributing to that through our through our consumption of certain things. And I feel like we gotta, be careful with how much we are willing to embrace certain things, because I worry about what human existence is going to look like in the future, because what are people going to be doing if everything is replaced by all of these things that we celebrate, one of those things being AI. So obviously this triggered me a little bit when you sent this story for us to do this as a topic. But this was an article published by CNN Business, and it concerns Sports Illustrated. So if you read a story on Sports Illustrated, buyer beware. It might not have been written by a human. So this says Sports Illustrated deletes articles published under fake author names and AI generated profile photos. Sports Illustrated on Monday said it had deleted several articles from its website after a report from the once celebrated Legacy magazine had published the pieces under fake author names and profile images generated by artificial intelligence. The report, which was published by Futurism, found that the magazine had repeatedly published articles whose authors could not be found online outside the Sports Illustrated website. The articles were all accompanied by AI generated profile photos that Futurism also found for sale on digital marketplaces that sell AI produced headshots. During the course of Futurism's reporting, some of the alleged Sports Illustrated writers mysteriously vanished from the publication's website, and their articles began appearing under the names of different authors who similarly didn't appear to exist online and whose likenesses were also being sold on AI headshot marketplaces. Following the publication of the report, a spokesperson for the Arena Group, which has operated and licensed Sports Illustrated since 2019, told CNN that the deleted product review articles had been created by a third-party company, Advon Commerce. Quote, we have learned that Advon has writers use a pen or pseudonym in certain articles to protect author privacy. Actions we don't condone, and we are removing the content while our internal investigation continues and have since ended the partnership, the spokesperson said. Writers, editors, and researchers at Advon create content following a policy that makes use of both counter plagiarism and counter AI software, the Arena Group spokesperson said. Well, apparently not. We continually monitor our partners, and we're in the midst of a review when these allegations were raised, the spokesperson told CNN. Advon has assured us that all of the articles in question were written and edited by humans. Advon did not respond to a CNN request for comment, but the questions raised Monday marked the second time in as many months that Advon has found itself at the center of an AI publishing controversy. So, stories on Sports Illustrated that were contributed by this Advon company were discovered to have been stories written by AI and furthermore attributed to an author that was AI generated, not even a real person. And an example is this the bubble that you see there on the left hand side of your screen, this Drew Ortiz, that is not a real person, that is an AI generated headshot. And these companies purchase these AI generated headshots from online merchants who provide said AI generated headshots for a fee. So this crap is completely, I don't know, man. This is some crazy stuff. But this is Sports Illustrated, credible news source within the context of sports, and this is going on. So, what do you make of this, man? This is crazy stuff.
I mean, earlier, bro, I forgot we was even doing this, but yeah, earlier, bro, like I just said a few minutes ago, man, that there's going to be a time that we look back at 2023 and say, hey, man, that wasn't that bad. Because when we got Mr. Drew Ortiz here, just going to be throughout the market, because this is the one that just got caught. Because I don't even know why that website or publication was even that knee deep into this, to be honest. Like, how do y'all find this Sports Illustrated article to be doing investigations? But that's neither here nor there. The point is that this is a thing. And much like most things, these things are already going on. This ain't like the first. So, yeah, man, this is just a wave of, the new wave of, not needing workers. And because I get it, sports is just literally whatever the coach said, the stats, and I'm pretty sure AIs can just spit that out real quick. So most corporations are going to be looking to see how they can save money on
Yep.
bankroll.
Yep.
And so they're not like or payroll. So they're gonna see all the golden benefits of this. And they don't care what product they put out, because guess what, guys? They never really did care about whatever product they put out, because they know people are just gonna go consume. I still don't know who reads Sports Illustrated articles, but the fact is that this is going on there. This is going on in other places that is just yet to be exposed, or is just yet to be known. But people have called certain things out where either movies, or I think it was that show, I forgot what show, that was a Marvel show or something, and that the intro was done. Oh yeah, the one with Samuel L. Jackson, and people was complaining that the intro would look like it was done by AI, or was done by AI, and it's like, yeah, bro, get used to this. Get used to some real generic stuff. You talk about no soul. It looks so good. The first few times I saw AI generated stuff, I was like, oh, this is impressive. Wow. How did it do that? Well, it's just pulling a whole bunch of stuff together and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right. But the more you see of this AI stuff, the more generic it is. It's very dull. So, and art is supposed to move people. Music's supposed to move people. And when they're going to have robots swaying people's movements, I don't know how that's going to look either. So I don't appreciate this being in the arts, to be honest. I think that's a new form of wacky. I do not want to see the products of this, but unfortunately we're going to. So it's just brace yourself season. But yeah, Mr. Drew Ortiz, yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a lot more of that, a lot more Drews in the world. So what about you, JV Wins? How do you feel about this here? Drew Ortiz. I cannot get his face or that name. Goodness gracious. How do you feel about it, man?
Drew Ortiz. Like, let's get white first name, Latino last name.
It's brilliant.
Let's mash that thing together, man. Let's make cultural melting pot. Let's mash that thing together. At my previous employer, I was director of communications for member organizations in the state of Florida, housing authorities, landscape architects, and insurance agents. And member organizations, the way that they are built is, if you work in that industry, so the insurance agents, for example, let's say you are an insurance agent, you work for an insurance agency, your employer is a member of the member organization for insurance agents in the state of Florida. In order for you to continue to practice selling insurance, you have to get things like continuing education, so on and so forth. So an easy way for you to be able to acquire said CEUs and credits and things of that nature is if you join a member organization, because the member organization puts on webinars and classes in your area and things like that. It makes it easy for you to continue to practice in your field. So I worked for a company previously who was hired by member organizations to manage their operations. Now, member organizations function in such a way that the vast majority of the opportunity that you have to obtain your CEUs and your credits is to attend the annual meeting of those member organizations each year. It's how it's built. So follow me. I'm eventually getting to a point. So these annual meetings take place once a year in this resort somewhere in Florida, and all of the members register to show up. Registration is like hundreds of dollars, usually paid for by whoever it is that you work for, so that they can send you to this thing so that you can attend all the keynotes and the breakout sessions. You can get the CEUs so that you can continue to practice your profession.
Mm-hmm.
I directed communication for all the organizations that hired my company to run them. And that also means that I got to work at these annual meetings, and it means that I got to basically stay at these fancy 5-star resorts for like a week at a time. I got to eat for free, drink for free, and basically all I did was handle the IT, make sure all of the breakout sessions were good to go, and be a face. It was great. I love that job. I had a blast. I got to stay at Disney World for a
Mhm.
week for free. I ate for free. I drank for free. They had me up at the Grand Floridian. They gave me clubhouse access. So I got to be on the floor where you just flash your little wristband and it opens up a secret floor to a secret room within the resort where you get an open bar and refreshments 24/7. It was a blast.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, it was a blast. I love that place. And it gave me free passes to any Disney World park I wanted to. I love that job. It was a blast. And I did it for almost 2 years. One day I showed up to work after the last annual meeting of the year and sat down in the conference room with the rest of the team and my boss at the time. And he said, "All right, team, I got to tell you something. And it's not easy for me to say this, but the insurance agents have decided that they are going to not renew their contract with us. They've decided that they want to self manage. This was a $40,000 a year retainer, and we're losing that retainer. So as a result, JV wins. They said my actual government name, of course. We no longer can afford your salary. So effective September 30th, we're going to have to let you go." So mind you, I was being told this news at the end of August. So basically, I was told that I had a month to figure myself out, and I was being let go. It was at that moment that I realized that I wish that I was a part of a union. Because if I was a part of a union which protected me from being laid off like that, I would have been able to ensure that whatever happens, no matter what company decides that they don't want to retain our services, I would be able to still be able to maintain my livelihood because the union was going to protect me from getting fired for reasons that are beyond my control. The reason why I bring that up is because this AI stuff is making me rethink how I look at unions. I've always been somebody who was a believer in like being an independent contractor per se. I'm going to dictate my own terms. I'm going to set the limits on what I can and cannot make and what you can and cannot do to me. But if there's one thing that this AI movement is showing me, it is that corporations are going to do what they want. And I don't look at AI as the future in terms of this is something that benefits humanity. I look at AI as a cost cutting measure. That's how I look at AI. AI, to me, in my opinion, AI has nothing to do with bettering human civilization.
No.
And it has everything to do with the type of technology that corporations can view as a cost cutting measure. In other words, how can we incorporate AI so that we can get rid of people, so that we can offload salaries, so that we can become more profitable because we literally do not have to concern ourselves as much with payroll? How can we use AI as a cost cutting measure so that we can get rid of people so that we can make more money because we get to pay out less in salaries and wages? That's what AI is to me. And if you want to be protected from this, people are going to really have to evaluate the value of things like unionization, because that's the only thing that I can look at in terms of how can I protect myself from this, because it isn't going anywhere.
No.
One thing that we can guarantee and ensure corporatocracy will do is always figure out a way to be more profitable. And one of the greatest areas in which companies see a decrease in revenue is when you have to pay out for labor, when you have to pay out for wages, and when you have to pay out for salaries. So if the corporation or the company that you work for sees an opportunity to incorporate AI, you best believe they are going to do that. And sure enough, they are going to figure out ways to start firing people because they can get rid of you and not pay you and still make money, and in fact make more money, because now they don't have to pay your $50,000-$60,000 a year salary. They can just pay Omnicorp USA for the rights to license their AI technology to at least approximate what you used to do as a human being. And so, we all, That's pretty much all I have to say, man. It's up to you as an individual to figure out ways to protect yourself from this bullshit, because these companies are going to get rid of you. They are going to make you obsolete. And unless you are doing something that is truly future proof, that is truly AI hack proof, you are going to be a victim of this dynamic. And you can say that I'm reading too much into this and that I'm being
No,
doom and gloom.
no, no.
People are already losing their livelihoods because of AI, because of technology. Look at cashiering. Cashiering started. Look at and that's not even AI. That's just automation. AI is an evolution of automation, but the precursor to AI, which is automation, is already eliminating an entire slew of jobs. That being cashiering. What are people gonna do? People need shit to do, man. People are like, we are social creatures by nature. People need shit to do. When you start eliminating all of this stuff as a result of automation and artificial technology, where are people going to turn to? They have nowhere to go. So you got to protect yourself from this stuff. Unionize, come up with some sort of CBA. I don't know what it's going to take, but it's starting to look like unless you are a professional athlete, or unless you are some sort of cybersecurity genius, you are at risk of the future. And look no further than this Sports Illustrated situation. They got AI generating stories that you are reading on a credible news source such as Sports Illustrated. So this just reminded me of my experience with being at the mercy of the machine. And all you can do is try to protect yourself as much as possible. They're still going to figure out a way to get rid of you no matter what you do, because the machine is just going to keep on rolling. But there are ways that you can stave off obsolescence. And that's what we are staring down the barrel of obsolescence. And if you don't want to be on the cutting room floor of being made obsolete, get your people together, whatever your profession is. I don't know, band together. Y'all need to come up with some sort of way to organize yourself so that you can come up with some kind of contract, put language in your employment agreement, put something in there that makes it legally binding that they cannot just do this kind of stuff to you. Because if you don't, they will.
Yep. So just look at the face of Drew Ortiz. And and that's the face of tyranny, guys. So this is how it looks, man. Because people confused. Nah, bro. When I say this is how I look, this is how I look. This is what Skynet look like, y'all. This is what's going down right now. And yeah, bro, I be on social media and seeing, bro, people just, fired 20 something years, 15 years. This ain't just pushover. I'm jumping from job to job just so. No, these people are career people, and they're getting fired because all these tech jobs that's popping up, all of them are geared towards, as you said, automation and AI. And so, being on the corporate side of things, I really see how much they love automation. They just automate. They, let's get this automated. And then they'll get it automated. And yeah, it cut down on work. Something that took 3 hours only take 10 minutes now. I get it. It makes sense. But the more they keep doing that, and whenever you're dealing with corporate stuff, you always got to show the client how much you're saving them money.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, we did all this and that, and that cut $65,000. Wow, that's you cut a whole employee for the year. All right, keep it up. All right, in the next quarter, we want to see more money off. It's ridiculous, bro, but that's the meter. And now when you got robots that just slice that, man, you just took out 5 employees with this one update. Oh, well, we don't need Diane anymore. Frank, he's out of here. Yeah, and Diane and Frank. Then there's people. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of talented people in the work pool right now. Looking for jobs. Veterans of things. And as I mentioned, bro, it's only going to get worse. So yeah, just do the best you can, man. Hey, I'm trying to figure it out with y'all, man. This came faster than I thought. I thought it was gonna be like 2030, bro. I thought I was gonna have some years to parlay. Now it looks like I got months. So I'm with y'all, man. This is shocking. But as I also mentioned, this is the one they told us about. This is the one we know about. But I'm pretty sure there's already some underhanded stuff where, reliable sources are using some type of chat GPT to generate, the stuff that they've been pushing out nowadays. So consumerism don't care nothing about soul. It don't care nothing about who you are as a person. It's just bottom line and more money, more money, more money. So of course AI falls exactly in line with that. And humans that are going to ask for vacations and ask for health care and dental, my kid this, out of here, man. Let's get this robot in here that don't get sick. Let's get this thing going. So hey, man, there has to be some type of renaissance, man, where the people get back to themselves, man. A new hipster movement, possibly, man, where people just trying to get back to earth. I don't know. I'm grasping for straws. We need something, because at this point, man, if we just keep going for the latest update, the latest this, the latest that, man, we're just gonna wake up one day and it's gonna be right there. So, because low key, it already is.
It is, yeah. I think I mentioned before that I think what caught everybody off guard is they were waiting for the flying cars. I think that's what messed people up. It's like we were waiting for the flying cars, and I guess until we see the flying cars, we won't really believe that the future is here. But nah, man, they just skipped over the flying cars. That's a bit harder to pull off. It's here. They just got one over on you because you didn't see the flying cars. I think that's what happened. I think people were waiting for the flying cars. I think they were waiting for Back to the Future Part 2. When they go to the future and all of the flying cars are zipping around everywhere. I think that's what people were waiting on. But it's here, man. And so, yeah, I think that you, as an individual, you have to fight diligently and do your research to figure out ways to position yourself to at least prevent or stave off being made obsolete. Because right now, the name of the game is the obsolescence of humans. They are trying to make humans as obsolete as possible so that the companies and the people at the top can increase the profit margins, decrease wages, decrease labor, get rid of salaries, offload all of that so that they can just make more money. It has nothing to do with bettering humanity and making things better for humans, and it has everything to do with cost cutting. It's all about cost cutting. I don't care what anyone says. It's about cost cutting. So figure out a way to stave that off for yourself. I'm grasping for straws too. Don't know what it's going to look like, but it's definitely here. So brace yourself.
Be safe, y'all.
Yeah.
Be safe, y'all. And Drew Ortiz, go do something to yourself.
Kick rocks.
Yeah, God damn it.
Oh God. Yeah, speaking of cost cutting, apparently Black Friday, we got some swindlers. We got some swindlers, some of these vendors and companies out there who are trying to swindle people when it comes to Black Friday. So apparently Black Friday deals were not as enticing as what was being made out to be. Kind of crazy. So let me let's see. Here we go. So this is an interesting topic, and it's somewhat related to the topic that we just covered. But apparently, Black Friday deals at certain retailers and places like that aren't what they were made out to be, and it's getting exposed courtesy of a video that went viral on TikTok. So this article from Complex says viral TikToks expose fake Black Friday sales at major retailers. Some Black Friday deals don't meet the hype. A viral TikTok uncovered how Target priced its deals on Friday, which marked the start of the holiday shopping season in the U.S. In the clip, a shopper pulls out the Black Friday sale price cards from the signage to uncover regular sales prices that are the same. The shopper checks 3 separate TVs, and none of them are even $1 cheaper than the original sale prices. A Target representative told the New York Post that the TVs were, quote, on sale before Black Friday as part of our early Black Friday deals or sales. We continue to offer those items at the same discount during Black Friday, but updated the signage to reflect the extended timing. The spokesperson added, those discounted prices compared to the regular prices are clearly shown in both sales signs in the video. The rep also said shoppers would have saved between $20 and $80 depending on which TV they purchase. So that is Target's explanation as to why it looked as though the deals for Black Friday were the exact same as the sales that preceded Black Friday. And here is the viral video in question. So pretty comical stuff. So here we go.
Oh, it's the same. Okay, what about this one? Oh, it's the same.
Black Friday deal?
I don't get it.
That's a deal?
Okay, this one. But it's the same.
Bro, that's not a deal.
I don't get it. I'm confused.
That's Black Friday
Yeah.
for you.
I'd have to say I'm a little confused there too, Miss Lady. So what do you think about this? Are you buying Target's explanation?
No, that's I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. You know, they might have Drew Ortiz probably came up with that answer. But nah, man, I don't care for that. And the thing is, man, with Black Friday, because it's been falling off honestly for some years now. And but I think it's really hit its apex of just squatting on the American public. I saw all kinds of footage, you know, similar to this, not just at Target, you know, at other locations where, you know, people have put the sign up and it's still $19.99. There's no sale here. So, you know, what are you guys actually doing? But again, this has been going on. This has been trending in this direction for a little while now, but I think it really hit its apex with, you know, current inflation, price of rent, you know, everything, price of regular groceries, you know, all of this stuff going through the roof. People have really been tapped out. You know, I'm pretty sure the amount of people on credit right now is through the roof, you know, beyond what it normally would be. And, you know, so people are just really struggling right now to make ends meet. And if they were going to buy a TV, man, you know, they're not going to spend money that don't look like it's, bro, you remember, bro, Brandsmart and all this other stuff, bro. It was a mayhem. Every whatever. I worked at Walmart in 2013 through 16, I want to say. My first Black Friday, shocked. I didn't know what to expect because I really don't do that anyway. But that was my first time working in retail for that stuff. I was so shell shocked. I couldn't even react. It was so much chaos going on around me. You know, some of my people getting wrapped up in pallets. I'm like, oh, it's a movie, bro. I'm talking about. My job was to be like, okay, you know, not exactly at 12 because we had a few deals before 12. You know, so I think I was like the 10:30 guy or whatever. So I'm just, you know, my job is to wash the pallet. So I'm watching my pallet, you know, I'm like, hey, you know, don't touch it. You know, I got a good item or whatever. So there's like a line of people that's waiting to get it. So eventually, it was like 5 minutes before the time was to release it. Somebody said, oh, the time's now. They blew the whistle, whatever. And it was like, well, no, we didn't. No, people started rushing the pallet. They had police in there. They didn't care about the police. They were rushing the pallet, grabbing stuff. I'm sitting there trying to stop it at first, but then I was like, man, because people was getting in there. My back, I was like, this ain't even my shit. I don't even care. So that was my first year. It was crazy. Second year was also crazy. I mean, just people everywhere, but I was a little bit more prepared. I wasn't shell shocked. The third year, I had already checked out as an employee. All right, I didn't care. My third year, I spent more time hanging out than watching pallets, and that was a movie. Bro. I was chilling. Anyway, side note. So yeah, that was when I was working at Walmart, and so that was like 2013 to 16. And in that span, I also started to notice, just being an employee, that these aren't really deals no more. But again, people still had money and stuff. Inflation wasn't what it is now, and rent is not what, and mortgages, like, things are crazy. So people really want a $40 TV, bro. Can you do it? And when they look and they see us, things are 10% off, 20%, that's a regular sale. So yeah, this is part of course. Corporations still want to get fatter. It's amazing, man, of how they're not letting up on us, bro. They got their boot on everybody's neck right now, and they're not letting up. But I was glad to see that it wasn't that active out here in the streets. I didn't see much participation either online or whatever, at least physically. I don't know what the digital numbers look like, but yeah, physically, man, people weren't patronizing anyway. So what are your thoughts on corporate America trying to pull fast ones on these customers, thinking that they're getting a deal, but not?
Yeah, you went where I was going to go. So this to me is economics. So according to Forbes, the average annual salary nationwide is $59,428. So that's a year. So that means that's the median. So there's, if that's the median, then there's half of it is below that, half of it is above that. But the median is 59,000. What was that number again? $59,428. Now, anyone who is in that bracket can attest to this. That's not a salary that you can actually live on.
No, you can't.
The only way that you can live on a salary like that is if you live in a place where the cost of living is very low. And not only is the cost of living very low, but you have to live below your means, meaning you're not spending a ton of money. Like, you're not going to the mall to buy clothes and shoes.
Right.
You don't eat out a lot. Maybe you can save up. If you're disciplined enough, maybe you can save up enough money to go on vacation once every couple of years. And when I say vacation, I don't mean you took time off from work. I mean you got on a plane and went somewhere for a vacation, right?
Right.
So maybe you can afford to do that once every couple of years. But you're living below your means, and if you can afford to live like that on your own, you must be living in a place where the cost of living is very low. If you live in any metropolitan area, any place where there is a regular high cost of living, and you are making anywhere around that, you have to combine incomes. The only way that you can live is if you have roommates or you live with a significant other and y'all can income combine, and that's how you're able to survive. If you are by yourself and you are around that range, you are making a salary that is subservient. You cannot afford to live on that money. Yet that is the average median salary in the country at this time. So this to me is economics. Like, people out here, frankly, are cash strapped significantly. And I live in South Florida. You can't get a rent down here for less than $2,000 a month. And mind you, when I say $2,000 a month, that's for like basic shit. Not even like if you want to live in something that's nice. And if you want to talk about buying a home, forget about it. They are selling houses down here that were built in the 40s for $450,000. This stuff out here is expensive as hell. It is extremely expensive to live nowadays. And the only way that you can get by if you are working class is if you are combining incomes. Period. Like I said, unless you live somewhere where the cost of living is relatively low, significantly below the average, right? So what I'm seeing happening with this Black Friday stuff, because I peeped this too before we even decided to do this as a topic, is I feel like these retailers, what they're trying to do, because they're feeling it, there's less people going in there to buy this shit because people ain't got money like that. So what they're trying to do is they are trying to participate in deal-oriented programs, but also trying to get some of the revenue that they would get if the economy was more normal by advertising deals that aren't actually deals. Because think about it. If you want to make something a deal that's 329 a week before Black Friday, logically I'm thinking to myself, well, if it was before 329 and now we're doing Black Friday, you're going to have to slash that even more for me to believe that it's a Black Friday deal.
Exactly.
But what they do is they say we're starting Black Friday early. What they, but what so what they want to do is they want to get you into the store thinking that you're saving a ton of money earlier to try and recoup, because people just ain't in the stores like that. So this to me is economics, and it's a sign of the economic times. I'm with you on all of this stuff, inflation, everything. It's crazy out here, and people just aren't making it like that. And unless you're combining incomes, it's increasingly difficult. And I know firsthand. I'm trying to save up to purchase my own house, and I live in a market that is unreasonably expensive when it comes to wanting to buy a house. So I know, and it's not getting any easier. It's only getting more difficult. So I kind of feel like these people are just trying to pull a wool over people's eyes and make as much money as possible. And they might be putting, because 329 for a 50-inch, TV, was that
Samsung.
smart TV? Yeah, Samsung 50-inch 329. That seems like a bargain. It does. But at the same time, I feel like you putting that deal on for weeks at a time is sort of exemplary of the fact that people ain't walking through the door to buy these TVs under normal circumstances. So you got to try and recoup as much as you can, but people just ain't making it because the cost of living has just become unreasonable to a lot of working class people. I mean, a $59,000 median salary says the whole thing. At $59,000 a year, good luck paying a $2,500 a month rent. You might be able to make it happen, but you can barely scrape by, and you're not going to have much money. You're not going to have much discretionary income when all is said and done. Let alone anything to do, let alone anything to be able to enjoy life with. So it's tough. It speaks to the wealth divide for sure, but what are you going to do, man? Corporations are going to continue to try and make the money as best they can, even if they are, so to speak, starving. And I think right now, that's the situation that we're looking at. I just think it's an economic sign of the times.
Yeah, and the next pillar will be the closing of stores. And if that's the closing of stores, hey man, I just told you I used to work at Walmart, and whether corporate giant, whatever that was, whoop-de-whoop, that thing fed a lot of people I was cool with. And some people lived in a trailer park, some people live in low income homes over here, whatever over there, but they was taking care of their whole family with that store. And I'm telling you, them stores gonna start closing. And I don't know what the people are going to do, and I'm just saying it's going to be a lot of this. So 2025, these are going to be very interesting times, and it's going to test the resilience of a lot of people. And as we mentioned in the last couple topics, man, it's try to put yourself in a position somehow, some way. If there's going to be robots taking people's jobs, just be one of the people that know how to maintain one of these robots.
Yeah.
And have that be the new line, man. But I'm telling you, bro, they these people literally invented the wheel and found fire with this stuff. They're not stopping.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the back end of this, where they're going to close the brick and mortar stores, and the way it's going to happen is that people are not going to buy stuff anymore, and it's happening. So that on one hand, people would like to celebrate that, Black Friday sales, or people aren't participating in Black Friday. Hey, we're winning, y'all. We're not out there doing the stuff. And their excuse is we're going to have to start closing stores.
Mm-hmm.
So brace yourselves. Trying times, guys, but we're trying to stay ahead of the curve here at the Conscious Approach, man.
Yeah. I think that there is a concerted effort by capitalism to expedite the obsolescence of people. And that's either being done through technology or sheer economics, and they're both correlated. But it's happening, man. It's tough because if, like I said, man, if you are by yourself, if you're not married or in some sort of cohabitation setup like myself, if you are an independent earner and you don't have two modes of income at all times, it's not happening. It's not happening. It's tough. And gone are the days when you can just buy a house or rent anything of some substance on a single income, unless you are well above that median curve. If you are not well above that median curve, if you're not in the 75 or above range, which the majority of the population is not, because that's only about 10 to 20% total of the population, you're either dual incomes, in terms you got two jobs, three jobs, whatever, or you're combining incomes. And I've seen it firsthand. I've seen people who get into relationships and get married. And one of the main motivations for doing that is to just be able to combine income so that you can actually live a life, afford to live a life. As crazy as it seems, you have people who are making, practical decisions on marriage and relationships based on things like basic economics. It's wild. So yeah, man, being on the front end of things, being future proof, being on the cutting edge of developing and emerging technologies is really the only way that you can protect yourself from being made obsolete. And if you are not doing a lot of those things, man, you're going to be rendered obsolete. I think that there is a concerted effort to make people obsolete. I truly do. Because they already feel like it's overpopulation. It's too many people to go. It's too many people to go around anyway. How do we get rid of people? Money and technology. If you can't figure out the tech and if you can't make the money, you'll eventually die off. And I think that that's what the goal is.
Well said, bro. That's exactly what's happening.
Uh, And lastly, we are going to talk about some dysfunction in the Harris household. So a video went viral where T.I.'s son, who is an aspiring artist, rapper, whatever you want to call him, got into a verbal spat with his parents over the issue of how tough the kid had it growing up. So this kid, his name is his stage name is King Harris, right? He's trying to be an artist. They were at you can't make this stuff up. They were in the luxury suite of an Atlanta Falcons game against the New Orleans Saints. And the boy went live because they were going back and forth. T.I. and Tiny was like, bro, you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth. Stop trying to make it seem like you grew up hard. And King Harris is like, hey man, I grew up hard out here. Check my record. You better, check my receipts. And T.I.'s like, hey man, you're embarrassing yourself and your family. Chill with this. You ain't really about that life. And it got heated a little bit. And the way in which it got heated made the video go viral. So to provide some context here, this is an article from Hip Hop DX. It says T.I. gets into fight with his son King Harris over silver spoon argument. T.I. and his son King Harris got into a fight at an NFL game over the weekend, and it was captured on camera. The father-son duo attended the Atlanta Falcons versus New Orleans Saints game at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta on Sunday, alongside the rapper's wife Tiny and others. While watching the game in a luxury suite, Tip and his 19-year-old son began arguing after King claimed that he had a tough upbringing, which T.I. and Tiny both took issue with. Quote, King, have you ever woke up with a roach on your face? All right, then, you don't know what you're talking about. T.I. snapped during the argument, which was filmed on Instagram Live. King responded to make him look better. He say shit that he know not true. Silver spoon, I ain't never ate that a day in my life. So here is the we'll play the first couple minutes of the altercation, and then we will go ahead and, of course, provide our 2 cents on this situation.
Unbelievable.
Have you ever woke up with a roach on your face? Period. No, that's not the goal. Yeah, man, go Or in your ear.
I had some in the neighborhood with me that broke up with roaches in your ear. Y'all want to go to the bando in my neighborhood? Do y'all want to go to the bando? Do y'all want to go to the bando? To make him look better, he know not true. Silver spoon, I ain't never ate with that day a day in my life.
Nigga, you did have a silver spoon.
Come to my grandma's house because I'm getting in the
You
fight.
cried like a baby to go to your grandmama's house.
Every day.
You used to hold your breath.
Every
and
day.
no tantrum to go over there.
I don't want to be in these gates. I want to be outside in the neighborhood. That's why I want to be over there. But they don't understand that.
No, I'm gonna tell you the reason why you want to be over there. Y'all ready?
What was the reason?
Cause he can suck and pacify over there. Till you was 12 years old. He was sucking pacify till you was 12 years old. He couldn't do that in the house.
You cried like a baby. Hold his breath.
Yeah.
They try to say I was over there nasty, but they ain't gonna tell you everything like that. They trying to hide it.
Ain't nobody hiding
Sugarcoat it. He capping. Hey, he know I stand on business. He know that. Ain't no nigga ever pulled my car ever in life. I stand on business. You drop me somewhere, I stand on business. You drop me in your hood, I stand on business.
Yeah, he means that too, bro.
I've been still on business. You want to hide it for the world? I'm gonna put it out there for them to see. I want to put up nowhere. You ain't had me put up nowhere. Like you ain't had me behind the mansion. I was outside doing what I wanted to do.
You was behind that till you cried.
No, I got too much to drink. I drunk too much.
Bro, too young to have like veneers in his mouth, bro. Like he look wild with them veneers, bro.
Yeah, okay, that's enough. And yeah, he sounds like a clown in training. He sounds like
it's crazy.
He sounds like a minstrel show in training. But what do you think about this kid's claims and all of this nonsense that he was spewing? I mean, this is ridiculous.
I mean, this is the part that's wild, bro. Is that I don't really know. This is crazy, dog. Like this is like something that shouldn't have came out, but he's the one that recorded it, and it's sad because the boy clearly needs some help there. I mean, he's just lost, and I don't know who's really buying his street talk but him. And I didn't even have to know that he came from T.I. or nothing. If I heard anybody talking like how he was talking and sounding like how he sounded, bro, it's like, bro, you're not from the trenches, bro. You can't be from the trenches sounding like that. You know me, man. I stand on business. Oh no, you're capping. Yeah, you're capping. Hey, I stand. You know me. That's like, nah, dude. You sound like you was at your grandma's house on a pacifier. It's wild. And for T.I. to unmute, man, come from the rafters and be like, bro, you're embarrassing yourself and the family with this behavior. To me, this is T.I. is witnessing firsthand what
the
trap
fruits of his labor.
Yes,
Yeah.
what trap music has done to the community.
Yeah.
And his music was anthems for a lot of people in my cohort who were selling and doing the whole nine and thugging and all that other stuff. So his music woke him up and got him to hustling. And now his own child, who was raised in a suburban area, both parents active in his life, even grandma to boot. He had enough money to cover everything. The kid grew up on, reality TV shows. Yeah, bro, I think that's silver spoon. But the thing is that psychosis that music and this air quote culture does to a young black man has taken over his own child. Now, granted, T.I. also was a victim of that type of whatever rigmarole too, but he was also in circumstances that heightened that and it actually made it advantageous for him to actually be a hustler. But in this context here, he would have to revert backwards to go to the bando. You guys want to see the bando at grandma's house? Bro, we do not want to see the clubhouse you and your cronies play that when you went to go visit your grandma. That's not the bando. Y'all wasn't trapping out there. So this whole logic, this whole rhetoric, he was born in it, like many other kids that are, you know, in his age group and all this other stuff. So I was a part of that. It got me to a certain extent, not enough to be, you know, claiming that I'm from a place that I'm not. But at the same time, you know, I was adopting things because that was where the credit was given. You know, the credit was given to those people. So the music points in that direction, and the people in the neighborhood seem to be pointing in that direction. So this kid grew up with everybody pointing at his dad saying trap star, trap star, trap star. And I don't know what kind of mental gymnastics that put him through when he was growing up. But, you know, you always want to be dunking on your dad when you get older. You want to be better. You want to be doing things a little whatever. And his thing was, hey, my dad grew, you know, he's Mr. Hard. He's Mr. This one. You know, I got to prove my own. So I don't know where this takes him, but he sounds like he's not thinking beyond trying to prove something to people, which is crazy. But what are your thoughts on this situation here? King Harris going fisticuffs with his own father.
Yeah, I don't have much to add on to what you said. He sounded, like I said in my opening remarks, he sounds like a minstrel show in training. Who talks like that? It's like he's reading from the Trap Rapper Handbook.
Yeah.
Do y'all want to go back to the bando?
No,
And
the Disney version of it.
Yeah, I didn't want to be behind these gates. I wanted to be outside. And all of this other nonsense that he was saying, he sounded like a junior clown. He really did. And, you know, just, you know, T.I., one thing that I'll say about T.I. Definitely did his part to cultivate the sound that is trap rap and whatnot. But where I will sort of give T.I. partial credit is if you go back and you listen to T.I.'s, when T.I. was at his peak, if you go back and listen to, like, you know, I'm Serious and Trap Music and Urban Legend and King, for the most part, whenever he did talk about the trap and stuff, it was like, this is what I used to do. You know, it wasn't like Jeezy, where Jeezy was like, I'm still doing this. Like T.I. was like, I used to do this. So, you know, T.I., at least I'll give him credit for being socially aware enough to not perpetuate the notion that while he's becoming this successful rapper, he's not a heavy hitting dope dealing, you know, coke boy. Because obviously that would be a lie. You're not out here selling these records, and then when you're, you know, done selling these records and getting off tour, you going back into the trap and selling bricks upon bricks upon bricks upon bricks. Like, that's not happening. But nevertheless, T.I. does bear at least partial responsibility for this, because he was, at the end of the day, a part of a period of time in hip hop that fostered a particular type of sound that influenced a lot of people. And obviously his son is in tremendous proximity to him, so it stands to reason that his son is going to glean some of that, at the very least via osmosis, from his dad. And so, you know, T.I. bears some responsibility for this. And, you know, based on what I see from T.I. in terms of when he speaks on certain things publicly, I feel like he probably is aware of that. I think T.I. understands that. He probably knows that, but that is, of course, not going to stop him from trying to put his kid in the right headspace, because he is the one who has the power to do it. And if he does not do it, his kid's going to end up being a caricature, like the rest of these rappers running around out here looking like cartoon characters, minstrel shows, I'll call them. And he's already talking like one. Who talks like that? Like, do y'all, like, he's talking like he's trying to make a viral TikTok video. Do y'all want me to go? Y'all want me to go back to the bando? Like, who says that? Who says that? You're 19 years old. Who talks like that? Like real dudes who are really in a real bando are looking at you like you're a clown, Jit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he's talking like this recklessly because this music stuff is permeated through the collective consciousness of these generations, so much so that they're just using this as everyday speak. I'm in the trap, I'm in the bando, but you're in a gated community. Like it doesn't make sense. It's really ridiculous. It's sad and unfortunate. But if I'm going to give Ti the credit of being socially conscious, which I do believe him to be, then he is also aware enough to know that he is going to fight tooth and nail to ensure that his son does not get steered down the wrong path too much. Because as it stands right now, it's looking like he is headed down the direction of modern day minstrel show.
Yeah, he's a little out of control right now. Wishing the best for this. I mean, yeah, we just covered Ti last week. Just saying about the good things that he was doing for the community, at least. And for this to come out, the following week where, his son is just basically like you said, just making a minstrel show out of himself.
Yeah, he looks like a buffoon, and Ti knows it. He's like, he knows. That's why when he was saying we cut the video off, but at the end of the video, Ti is like, you're embarrassing yourself and your family, because
Right.
Ti knows, bro, you look like a buffoon right now.
Right. And so what the whole act, the whole charade, it needs to go. But what will make that happen? That will be an awakening that he would have to get on his own. So yeah, he's still a kid, 19 or whatever you say. So he's still got some growing up to do. Hey, I remember when I was 19. All right, I was a head case. All right, so comparatively speaking. Right?
Yeah, right.
But and so I can imagine what it is to, you turn on your phone and you're getting all this attention when you're that hungry for attention. So sad stuff, man. Wishing Ti the best with this, clean this up, man. And for him and for the kid, the King Harris kid, I write people off fast. It's not looking good for him. So yeah, bro, I'm hoping you can, have what's that boy name that had the tattoos all over his face, and then he found Jesus, Bunk Gang, whatever that boy name is. Yeah, you probably would not know him, but yeah, it's so people can reform. So hopefully this kid grows up one day and sees that this isn't it. It's kind of one of those things of you look back at these times, because I could just look back at myself at times where I was just drunk in the club, just thinking I'm the shit, I'm talking to all the ladies or whatever, but I'm just bopping around drunk. And so you're young, you're immature, you do things like that. So I think he'd be hopefully one time he can look back at this and go, oh man, that was embarrassing. I see what my dad was talking about. But it doesn't look good though. It looks like he's down the path of the Kodaks and everything else. So Godspeed.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. It just, there's nothing more corny than when it sounds like you're just reading out of a handbook.
Right.
And the kid just sounded like he was like, let me turn to the trap page. Oh, bando. Like he just sounded like a clown. Just sounded like a clown, So yeah, hopefully they get that. Hopefully they get it corrected. Yeah, he is a jit. He's got a lot of life to live, but this rap stuff, man, it really does make clowns of some of these humans. And it is what it is. What are you gonna do? Shouts out to Foyo Games, friend of the channel. He said Ti and Tiny don't stand on business.
Apparently not.
Yeah. Now, if you their parenting would suggest as such. That is.
I forgot about that too. Yeah, standing on business.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're gonna go ahead and end tonight's stream, man. That was good stuff. Great content as always. Thanks to everybody who joined in on the stream. Appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you to you for joining along with us as we continue to create our brand of logical content. Follow Conscious Approach on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach. I am on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. If you watch this video on the Facebook page, go ahead and like that page, follow that page. We certainly appreciate it. Like and subscribe to the channel as always. We certainly appreciate the support as we continue to flesh out this community, speak truth, and create our own brand of logical content here in our little corner of the internet. So until next time, think for yourself, keep it logical, and continue to support logical content.
Yes, sir. And the name is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon_SS. Also on DraftKings. Send me an invite, bro. I come take your money. All right, Dogon_SS over there as well. And as I say on every part, guys, all right, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. And if you hoeing out there, do your hoe in silence. All right. So until the next time, guys, we'll catch y'all on the flip side.
Those are wonderfully parting words. Do your hoeing on the inside. Just make sure you come outside to tune into the next stream. So we'll see you there, but we out of there. Peace.
Peace. Go Canes forever.